What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. In this week's video, we're going to talk about tools for research, for equity research. We're going to go through 4 or 5 tools that I personally use and that I like. Before we get started, I'd like to just do a little bit of housekeeping and get a few disclaimers out of the way. First of all, none of the companies that we bring up today are buy or sell recommendations by any means. These companies are just illustrated here for case study purposes and should not be construed as investment advice. Secondly, none of the tools or websites that I will be using today, they're all completely independent. I do not have any affiliations with them. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not offered any commission. So this is purely because I use these tools and I believe they are very effective and powerful in different ways for equity research, and that's why we're going to be discussing these tools. They are not in any way sponsorships or promotions. And with that, let's get started. Okay, so in today's day and age when information flows so fast and freely, be it on social media, be it on television news channels, on WhatsApp groups, you get 1,000 different voices screaming by at you for different reasons. Whether you open Twitter, you see a bunch of posts about multi-baggers and FIRE, which is financial independence, retire early. You open any of these CNBC or NDTV Profit during market hours, there'll be plenty of experts who come to give advice. Many of them will just give stock tips. Um, the purpose of these tips is to get your attention and to make you act on greed. Um, these tips are not necessarily good like investment advice, and sometimes they might be tips that are given out of um, their own vested interests, whether it's to benefit their clients by providing them exit liquidity, but whether it's stocks that they already own that they are promoting. So before we discuss tools for research today, I want to take you through a few case studies which will display why following these tips blindly, whether it's online on Twitter or Facebook, whether it's on television news, whether it's on WhatsApp groups, why these following these tips blindly can sometimes be a short way towards wealth destruction. The first case study we'll talk about today is something that anyone who's present on social media would have come across. I call them the Twitter screenshot gurus, who are constantly preaching, they're constantly tweeting things like 1 lakh turned into 3 crores in this many years, or 1 lakh put 50,000 put into this company became 2 crore in this many years. Ask yourself this question: if these people actually had access to so many multi-baggers and they converted 1 lakh into a few crores every few years so easily, would they really be on Twitter promoting their tweets and selling their courses to you? Or would they be sitting on a beach in the Caribbean enjoying pina colada and just relaxing there and enjoying with the money they've earned so easily? No one, if they had such a powerful tool to create money, no one would just be giving this out on Twitter or trying to sell you courses. This is not research. These are marketing funnels, and the hook is capturing you by appealing to your greed. Okay, fine. So maybe on Twitter it's a little different because it's very unorganized and there's all sorts of people giving opinions. But probably we could trust TV channels, right? Like they have experts who come on TV every day, whether it's on CNBC or NDTV Profit, and they come wearing suits and they seem like they have authority. Let me give you an example, one of many examples, but I'll give you one recent example of why acting on tips given by these people on TV is a rather stupid idea, especially when it's without any conviction or any research of your own. Just last year, SEBI investigated and convicted this man named Mr. Sanjiv Bhasin, who was a market expert, made several appearances on various TV channels. And he was a voice of authority because he was a director at IIFL Securities. So could you trust him and listen to the tips he said? What SEBI uncovered will surprise you. Mr. Sanjeev Bhasin was caught with was charged with front running, which is basically that associates and people known to him would buy stocks in advance before his TV appearance, knowing which stock he's going to promote. When he got on TV and promoted the stock, there would be a lot of buying interest shooting up the price, and that's when insiders and people known to him would cash out. These are the kind of people that come on TV and give tips. So, is it in your best interest to act on blindly on like the names given by them? Definitely not. What you need to understand is these people appear on TV sometimes with their vested interests, sometimes even like just out of the goodness of their heart. Television channels, their goal is the viewership and TRP. Your goal is returns. So even if you're following and watching these TV channels, watch everything with a huge amount of salt, not even a pinch of salt. Or ideally, it's best to maybe stay away from these channels and build your own research process, build your own framework for selecting stocks. Now, with this third case study, I'm not in any way insinuating that anything improper was done. In many of these financial companies, different parts of the company operate with what is known as a Chinese wall, where what's happening in the institutional research team is not known to people in the mutual fund and AMCs. So they're completely independent of each other. They don't even exchange ideas to maintain that unbiasedness because of conflicts of interest. So I'm not suggesting anything improper here, but I'm just suggesting that within the same institution, I mean, this was a real case study at Motilal Oswal, where the institutional research department had published a report on Keynes technology with a buy call, and at the same time, their mutual fund was selling a massive chunk of their stock. So, what does this tell you? This institutional divergence is also a sign that people aren't like you can't blindly follow like what the institutional research report said. You need to build your own conviction. What you absolutely cannot do is outsource your thinking process and outsource your framework for selecting stocks. If you're an active bottom up stock picker, if you do ETFs and mutual funds, there is no problem. But when it comes to selecting stocks, you need to build your own process and framework. You can't outsource your thinking. Before we go into what different sources we can use for our research processes, let's first distinguish between noises and signals in the equity markets. This is especially important in today's day and age where information is so abundant and you need to be careful and safeguard yourself from noise. So noise can be from various sources, from like this image depicts, like it can be Twitter gurus, it can be people like your neighbor, your friends, WhatsApp groups, uncles you meet at parties, TV experts, all these sources. Some of this advice might be good, but a lot of it is is just to be disregarded. Now, what are signals? Signals are things that you can use as one out of many several data points when looking at or evaluating companies to buy. Signals can come from various sources like company corporate announcements, quarterly conference calls, quarterly company presentations, annual reports, credit rating reports, DRHPs, and various other sources. And the first thing you need to do before getting deeper is I like identifying which is which and distinguishing between the two. The more you stay away from noise, the easier it will be to build a strong and robust process, strong and like a proper framework for developing stocks and ideas. Otherwise, it'll be very tough to distinguish and you'll be swamped with ideas. You won't know what to prioritize. You won't know who's speaking out of the goodness of their heart, who's speaking out of vested interests. You can't borrow conviction. You can't know what, even if someone is speaking out of the goodness of their heart and giving you tips, you don't know what their goal is, whether their goal is wealth maximization, whether their goal is capital preservation. You don't know what their time horizons are. You don't know what their risk appetite is. So it's always best to develop your own framework. And usually the noise, whether it's Twitter tips, whether it's WhatsApp forwards, whether it's TV channels, these are designed to be loud and distracting because they appeal to your greed, they appeal to your more basal instinct. Um, So they are usually sensational. They usually have outlandish and very ambitious claims. They are more easy to follow. They're more seductive. But signals, which is usually it can be company data, it can be data gathered from various sources. Signals are usually more boring. They're usually not as sensational. But if combining various signals together, you build an investment thesis, those are usually way more powerful than just noise and conviction borrowed from others. Also, before we continue and before we actually start looking at the various tools for research, let's just look at the different types of information sources in equity investing. So we have primary sources, we have secondary sources, and we have other sources. And other sources, we have alternative data, we have scuttlebutt, we have tertiary like aggregators. So primary sources are sources that are directly issued from the company. These can be in the form of annual reports, these can be in the form of conference calls, these can be in the form of company presentations, these can be in the form of DRHPs. Secondary source, these are primary sources are highly accurate, unfiltered because they are audited, and the company needs to be accurate in what they're representing and depicting. Secondary sources are usually analysis and opinions of others, whether it's in the form of research reports from analysts, whether it's in the form of credit rating reports, or whether it's from in the form of news, whether it's that's media, written or print media. Then in tertiary sources, we have one is we have like alternative data, which can include like scuttlebutt, it can include web scraping, it can include satellite imagery. One of the more powerful tools for retail investors is doing actual physical scuttlebutt on the ground. Whether it's like suppose you're traveling, you're looking at airports, what kind of brands are being used, what kind of outlets have more traffic, what kind of airlines people are flying in. That's just one example of scuttlebutt, but scuttlebutt basically means on the ground, like field research. Then you have tertiary sources. This can be like export data. This can be like Vahan, which is like the automobile sales on a month-on-month Vahan data. These are various tertiary sources of information. So now we'll look at each of the research sources. Basically, the system and using any of these tools will be designed to filter out noise from your research process and to use various signals, which is in the form of data points, to basically build an investment thesis to solidify your conviction. So the tools are used in various forms, but the process is basically discovery of ideas, which can come in the form of various like signals. You validate each of your ideas, you build context, and then you finally decide whether to buy, whether to add it to your watch list for a time when the risk reward is more appealing. So the first tool we'll cover today, which I think personally is the most powerful tool in Indian stock research, is Screener.in. Screener.in was built by the Mittal brothers from Lucknow. It's a favorite tool of mine and a lot of other investors. And let's start with something simple like building our own screen. Okay. So we can go to this, and how do we filter companies? We can first look at, we don't want to look at very small companies. So we'll do market capitalization over 1,000 crore. Okay. And we want companies which have displayed strong sales growth. So we'll have YOY quarterly sales growth at over 15%. Also, earnings growth is probably the most important factor. We'll do YOY profit growth at 20, which shows that the company is displaying signs of operating leverage and operating efficiency. We want capital efficient companies, so we'll do return on capital employed over 20. And yeah, let's run this query and see what comes up. So we've got 140 companies, which is a lot of companies to filter from. These are high growth companies. We can sort these out by market capitalization, like so, the smallest to the largest, or we can sort them out by price to earning ratio, like so. And we can, yeah, look at various metrics. We can even edit the columns to have what we want. So yeah, that's very interesting too. We can, even if you want to sort of make your search query more, like more targeted, lesser companies, you can even add further parameters like price to earnings less than 20. Sorry, this is greater than, less than 20, and this will probably give you a lot fewer companies, 30 companies. So these are companies that are displaying strong sales and profit growth and are relatively cheaper because all of them, the highest PE is 20. So these are ways to build screens. You can also save your screens. Like I have various screens saved here for various purposes. There's some preset screens also. So yeah, screening your stock, creating screens and doing regular screening. I do screening once a week. Gives you ideas of what's happening in the market, what stocks are to look at. Um, you can do you can do screens for price volume action. You can do screens for breakout. You can do screens for strong earning growth and PEAD, which is post earnings announcement drift. You can do screens for deep value. You can do certain technical screens. Unfortunately, because this video, I won't be able to take you through all the screens because that'll make the video very, very long. So maybe another time soon. But now what we'll do is let's just go through a company page and screener just to show you how you use it to research. Let's look at Black Buck. Okay, so this is the main company page. You have the current price here, you have their website, BSE code, etc. Here on the right, they have like a very detailed about. They have key points, they have the various segments of the business. They'll have data points and most recent quarterly updates, clientele. So this is basically like your first sort of like the cover page, like the introduction to a company. It's very important to read for any company you're looking at as like the primary, just understanding what the company does, where in the value chain it operates, who its clients are. Then here you have like all of the information. You can customize this. This is what I've done suited to my needs. You can edit your ratios here, but you can have all sorts of parameters from return ratios, PE, EV, EBITDA, price of sales, blah, 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 volume. Then you have the you can edit it here by clicking on edit ratios, adding and removing whatever. You can even create your own ratios, which will be displayed here. Yeah, you can add ratio to table here also. Then we have the company chart here, which is like the Bible for any technical person. But here, I mean, that you do more in a deeper way on Stockscans, which I will show you later, or on TradingView. This is just a basic price, 50 DMA, 200 DMA volume indicator here. You can also look at the trend of the P ratio or various other ratios, EV, EBITDA, market cap to sales, and you can sort it out by 6 months, 1 year, whatever. And then this is part of a Chrome extension that I have. It's not in the normal screener. I will leave a link to this if anyone is interested in downloading it. Again, I'm not connected or affiliated to them in any way. It's just something I use and that I find useful. And here we have the pros and cons. This is machine generated, so whatever you read here, take with a pinch of salt. Don't pay too much attention to it, but just use it as like a guide. And here they have competitors. Again, Connex is not a competitor of BlackBuck. They're very different in their operations. So whatever they have here, take with a pinch of salt. But in case you want to hypothetically compare it to a company, again, these aren't competitors, but I'm just showing you. You can do delivery, and you get a detailed peer by peer comparison. You can see all the ratios, quarterly trends, profit loss statement, balance sheets, ratios. So that's a way to do peer comparison on screener. Then here you have the quarterly results. These are standalone. You can also view consolidated if you wish. And yeah, pretty self-explanatory there. These are the annual profit loss statements. One very important thing here, you can also view consolidated. One important thing here is to view related party transactions. Related party transactions are very important when doing equity research. It's something that a lot of people do not pay enough attention to, but it basically shows us what guarantees have been given, what what the promoters are drawing out from the company in forms of salary, if they have any private limited companies that the public enterprise does any business with. All that has to be perfectly well disclosed here. So you know of any of the all the compensation the promoters draw, any business they're doing with their own private enterprises, all of that should be available in the related party section. If you want to look at it in a more detailed way, rather than screener, you go to the annual reports. They have related party section there, and you can study it there. And here, screener gives the tables: sales growth, profit growth, stock price CAGR, and return on equity. BlackBuck's a fairly new company, so that's why you won't see stuff like stock price CAGR. But for older companies, all of that is visible. Then you have the balance sheet again, which is pretty self-explanatory. Standalone figures here. You can click on corporate actions here to view any of the corporate actions this company has taken in the past how many ever years. Um, you have ESOP details, equity history details, so stock splits, dividends, bonus issues, all of that will be available here under corporate actions. And then you have the cash flow statement again. Okay, so just before I continue, here you can screener gives you the option to click on this, and you can get the itemized breakdown for any item that you find on the balance sheet or the profit and loss statement. Cash flow statement, same thing. So for companies which do not, if which are companies which are not converting their cash flows effectively, like they're showing high levels of profit, but their CFO, cash from operating activities, are not matching, like if it's under 50 or 60%, that's always a red flag, and you should investigate that further. One way companies do this is they have high levels of under cash from operating activities. They have high levels of receivables inventory. So it's always good to investigate when the CFO figure is much lower than the stated net profit and the profit and loss account. Um, Another way to, I mean, that's the way to get it. And you can get further information by looking at annual reports, or ideally tuning into conference calls and asking the promoters these tough questions. Then here you have, down on this page, you have all the ratios here. These are standalone again, but they give you important metrics like debtor days, inventory days, days payable, cash conversion, how ROCE. And then lastly, and very importantly, you have the shareholding pattern. Here they show you promoters, FIS, DIS, public. You can like click on any of these FIS to see which institutions are holding the funds. Do any of your favored or preferred institutions hold the shares that you like? What is their trend of holding? Is their holdings increasing over time? Are they reducing over time? All of that. So this is very powerful information. Usually, when you see promoters and institutional investors accumulating, that's usually a powerful buy indicator. Not necessarily, but yeah, that's one of the things you can use. Public also, you can see in detail whoever holds. Anyone who has more than 1% in the company will be available, like will be disclosed here on the public holdings. And then lastly, here's the most important thing of each company page. Here you have con calls of last how many ever quarters you want. You can view the company presentations. You can click on the AI summary of a con call. You can view the entire transcript, or you can get the recordings, the audio recordings of the conference call. Very important to use. You should definitely at least look at the last two quarterly con calls of companies that you're seriously looking at buying. Before that, you can look at the AI summary of a few more quarters. You have rating reports, again, very important. Annual reports, of course, are very important. DRHP. And then here you have all the corporate announcements, whether it's an order win, JV, a collaboration, capacity expansion, etc. This particular section's document section is very important because it's where direct information, whether it's primary or secondary, whether it's from the company or from credit rating agency, all of this is filed here. You can also search for things that you want. So suppose you're looking for, is this company acquiring anyone? You can search for acquisition, and if there's anything that will come up. So this is acquisition of shares, but if there's an acquisition happening for a particular company, that will all come under announcements here. And this is basically a company page. Let me just show you one last thing. Here you have a notebook where you can start typing your notes, anything while you're doing research, and you can just save it here. These notes are only private and visible to you. So yeah, this was like a company page in Screener, one of the most primary places you should look at when you start researching a company. So this is for the company page. Now, even if you want to search in general, like if I want to search for things on Screener, I can just click on this search bar. Suppose I want to know battery and BESS. I can just click on BESS. Every announcement from any company related to BESS comes up here. Suppose you want to do capacity expansion. Capacity expansion. So any company that's spoken about capacity expansion in any way will come here. This is a very, very powerful tool. You can use this to search for, really target your searches. Suppose you want to know, I mean, don't use AI because a lot of companies are now using it as a buzzword, but if you want to know any artificial intelligence, sorry, my bad, that's incorrect spelling. So yeah, these are, so it's very useful to use when you want to search for anything particular, like whether it's capacity expansion, joint venture, collaboration, or any particular sector, trend, anything. These are the primary things of Screener. Another thing you can do is create your watch list, and then all of your company's updates will come on your homepage like this. You can also get like an idea of the quarterly results that are happening, upcoming IPOs, conference calls here on the right side. So yeah, this is the Screener homepage. You also have other small tools in Screener like AI. You can go to Screener AI. It's more, um, it's better suited when you're at a particular company page. You can ask any particular question. Screener AI is chargeable on a query by query basis, unlike ChatGPT or Gemini, which charge a monthly subscription. So use it as per your discretion, whether you like it, whether you prefer using traditional LLMs. That's purely up to you. They have other tools also, commodity prices here. You can search for any commodity and get to know the prices. Shareholder searches, so you can have like, suppose you want to know, let's say Ashish Kacholia, what his bulk deals are, block deals are recently, what his entire shareholding is like right now. You can do that for any shareholder that you're interested in, even for institutional. And you have company announcements, which we just discussed. You can even do that more targeted on your own homepage, which will be just companies you want, rather than all the companies in the entire universe. And you have credit rating reports for various companies. You can even search by a company and find credit rating reports. Then we have sectoral indices. These are pre-made by Screener. Let's just go through one very quickly. Suppose we go to glass and glass products. Wow, that's a lot. No, this is industrial products. Sorry. So this is like by the sector. You can look at this. You can do this for various sectors. And yeah, this was basically Screener very briefly in a nutshell. The second tool we'll discuss today is Tijori Finance. It's a pretty unique tool. It's very interesting in many ways. There are also quite a few overlapping features with Screener. So use each per your discretion. Certain things I find more convenient and better to use here. A lot of things I find easier and better to use on Screener. So this is basically the ideas dashboard of Tijori, which is like their homepage. It's refreshed every 15 minutes. Here you have things like promoter buying, rating upgrades, trending on social media, so you can, whatever people are talking about on that particular day or on that particular week. You have fundraise and QIP announcements, CapEx announcements, corporate action announcements. You can even do merger, demerger, buyback. And then you have their own screens for these various price pessimism, margin expansion, sales growth, deleveraging, coffee can. You have whales buying, you have upcoming results and con calls, you have popular. This is just like you shouldn't, I mean, spend some time here. You get to know the biggest winners of the day, biggest losers of the day. But yeah, this is like the overarching ideas dashboard, just to give you a quick in a snapshot what like happened that day in the market. And here you have quarterly results. Right now it's not very active, but during result season, of course, this is a quick, easy way to just know what results were declared today and get like um, overarching like numbers for growth and particular figures. And then here you have the timeline, which is useful in the day. It shows you like all the companies in your watch list and portfolio. You can basically just get an idea what's happening every day with each of these companies. If there's any press releases, if the price has moved up a lot, if they've made any announcements. Also, overall, like the market breadth, market temperature checks. Um, yeah, this is just the homepage. Nothing really happening here. Then you have watch list, which you should use effectively here. You can make watch lists for various purposes, like sectorally. You can just have overall watch lists. Yeah, it's very easy to create and maintain watch lists. Portfolio tab here. Then you have alerts. You can set alerts by company, and then you have a screening tool similar to Screener, where they have some of their pre-made screens. Advanced Screener you can click on to create your own screen similar to Screener. So, like I said, they have some overlapping features here. In Tijori, something you can do is you can do some level of filtering in terms of like raw material used and such, which isn't then in Screener. So in Tijori, there is a little more qualitative screening than Screener. If you want to do like just not purely numbers and you want to look at other qualitative parameters, then you have these two tools which I find pretty unique and useful in Tijori. One is the market monitor, which will give you like performance of these indices on a 1 day, 1 week, however, whatever time period. You also have their own, these are TJIs, Tijori, their own sort of indices for various sectors. And you have, yeah, they've made like some, this thing by the conglomerate. So these are like, you can see all of the Tata groups and the companies and their overall conglomerate performance here. Same with any of these conglomerates, including Reliance here. And yeah, then you have raw materials, which can be pretty useful if you are tracking commodities and your commodities, your companies belong to some of these sectors. For any of these products, you can, any of these chemicals, precious metals here, you can, let me just show you, like for ethanol, you can see the various producers in India. These are the biggest producers. These are the consumers of ethanol. So if you have a thesis that's dependent on whether it's ethanol prices going down or coming up, it's very easy to know who will benefit or not benefit as a result of prices increasing or declining. So yeah, pretty useful tool, unique. Um, you also have the same thing for spreads, for metals. Metal, like for ferrochrome, you can see the various producers in India, who the consumers are. So yeah, you can use like increases and decreases in commodity prices is to build your thesis by looking at producers and consumers here. Yeah, so why I really like Trendline is building your own watch list and then getting this customization on your timeline and in the ideas dashboard. Also, like we just saw, like some of the overall macro and raw material features. And let me just show you like a company here also, because there's some pretty cool features on company pages. Let's look at Acuta's Chemicals. Sorry, must be Ami Organics. The previous. Okay, let's go to Tiny Technoplast. This is like the overall company page, similar to Screener, ratios on top, like a small about section. You have the prices here. You can directly compare the price chart with a competitor by selecting this, or you can just add your own company here. And yeah, it's easy to compare the price movements of both side by side. Then you have like financial statements or you can get more detail. You have a company forensics page. So these are like, again, machine generated. You can use this as guides, but don't follow this blindly. Or even if you are looking at it, at least cross check and verify all of the forensic claims made here. And yeah, here you have like, this is pretty interesting. You can see like a revenue breakdown of Time Technoplus. So these are the various products and how much each product contributes to the overall revenue of the company. So latest, you can even see historic and see how the various components, various segments are contributing to the revenue over a period of time. This is very useful in companies where there is a change of product mix happening from more standardized or more commoditized products to value added products. Time Technoplus is a good example of this. A dairy industry, dairy companies are good examples of this. You have a segmental breakdown here again, rest of world breakdown here again, and who the end user is, where their products are going, whether it's specialty chemicals, FMCG, etc. You have operational metrics here, which will show you capacity utilization, quarterly sales volume, volume growth. So these are all really interesting features. You can get a visual representation of various things, will give you an easier understanding, especially in terms of segmental contribution, in terms of end user industry, in terms of export and imports. Yeah, this was one of the better, one of the more unique things that is available on Tijori. Also, if you go on things like financials, you get like here you get like a snapshot of the balance sheet. Red is these things have come down from the previous time period. Green is these things have gone up from the previous time period. So even here, like the cash flow analysis. No, sorry, this is a balance sheet, but even down on the cash flow analysis, it shows you like visually where each line item is. Personally, for me, I like to use this. Sometimes it gives you a clear understanding of whether it's in the balance sheet or in the cash flow statement, like an itemized breakdown of what components are bigger in each of the respective statements. This is in detail, like the ratios, the operational and profitability and valuation ratios of the company, quarterly results of the company, and this is a reverse DCF calculator which you can use. I'll discuss these calculators in greater detail in our next tool, but yeah, this is available on Tijori also. And then you have some FAQs. Our next tool is Trendlyne. Trendlyne is also, again, very, some features are very similar. That's what's available in Screener and in Tijori. Some features are very unique. So you can use what suits you and what is easier and more convenient for you from various platforms. You can do a mix and match. You can just use one of them, two of them, all three of them. It's entirely your call. So on Trendline, like this is the home page. Here you have, you can do it by, you can just get a daily idea of what's happened in the day, just on this home page, which industries and indices have performed, what the FIIDI activity was like. You can even do this by Nifty 500 or whichever index you want, whichever sector you want, or based on your own like portfolio and watch list stocks. For just for convenience, we'll do the Nifty 500. These are the biggest gainers, biggest losers today, 52-week highs, all the news announcements here. 52-week lows, outperformance 1 week, underperformance 1 week, volume shockers, high volume, high gain, high volume, high loss, rising delivery percentage, broker upgrades, all of that here on this home page. It's just quick way to get an idea of what's happened in the markets. Good time to check it is probably every day when the market is closed. And yeah, you can get more when you hover around this market over this markets tab. You can see in further detail top gainers, top losers, FDA warning, sector breadth. Sector breadth is a pretty interesting tool. You can get like days loser percentage, days winner percentage, what's over the moving averages, what the momentum and relative strength of each sector is like. All of that is available here. So if you're doing some top up research, if you're looking at macros, this is like a great place to see which sectors to study, where sectoral rotation is happening. That is that. Then you can see indices also similarly here, which indices performed well, which performed badly. You can change it by the day, week, month, quarter, whatever time period you want. Um, yeah. And you have analysts. I'm not going through all of this, but you have all of these things. Results during result season, their result dashboard is pretty useful. And you have an IPO dashboard. You have also recently listed all the IPOs that were there this year, last year, most successful IPOs. Let me just show you this really quickly. Yeah, these are the most successful IPOs of the year. I think it's 1 year time period. Yeah. No, this is for more than a year. This is I don't know what time period this is, but yeah, most successful IPOs. Yeah. Same you can do for lease. You can do 5 years, 2025. Yeah. So this is the yeah. So these are the various tools. Then let me just show you the watch list section here. You can create watch list based on various things. You can do it like by the sector. You can do it by terms of priority, by terms of like what's deep value, what's in momentum. So you can make a bunch of watch lists here and it'll give you like an overall. Also, Trendline has access to American stocks, so you can track those also from here. I'll show you, like here you have U.S. markets today, U.S. superstars, blah blah blah. So it's you can track the American markets and the Indian markets both on Trendline. Yeah, these are the basic tools. Let me just show you a company page. Um, let's go to Urban Fashions. So, yeah, this is what the Trendline company page looks like. They have their own proprietary scores here for duration, valuation, momentum. Again, take these with a pinch of salt. What they say is expensive, might be expensive, might not be expensive. Do your own sort of checking, but yeah, use this as an indicator. Analyst price target, again, you can use this as an indicator, but take it with a pinch of salt. You have their own various parameters in their checklist, SWOT analysis. I usually don't pay too much attention to it, but yeah, you can have a look at it. And you have all the basic parameters of the company, the stock price analysis, how it's performed daily, weekly, monthly, and 52 weeks. Then you have the price chart. Similar to screener, you can do it by price, you can do it by PE, EPS, and any parameter you want. You can do more stuff here with the chart. You can play around with various indicators. Yeah, and this is the revenue and EPS forecast. These are analyst recommendations, and down here you have your financial statements and certain technical parameters that they have. And lastly, you have a shareholder summary, historical promoter holding, historical FII holding, historical DII holding, and bulk block and sus deals. Yeah, and also whichever analyst or research firm has given a buy or sell call. And lastly, you have corporate, all of their corporate filings down here. I personally I don't like the company pages on Trendline too much because I find them too there's just too much information and I don't like the way it's organized. I can't customize it to my liking like I can in Screener. So I use Trendline more for to track the American markets and more for their the market feature, which like the homepage and all of that. And I also like the ability I mean the watch list feature and creating and tracking many watch lists and especially their performances over a week, month, quarter. Before we continue with other tools, I want to talk about two platforms I use and that I have gained a lot from personally in terms of knowledge and insights and in terms of building a more robust research framework. And those platforms or whatever, websites are SOIC and the RAP. Both are started by who I think are brilliant investors and brilliant teachers. SOIC is started by Ish Mohit. They have various educational videos. They have a bunch of free videos on YouTube. I love their channel, and they have on their website they have various modules for people who want to learn investing from scratch, and even for advanced investors. And they on a week to week basis do various videos on sectoral deep dives, company analysis, or like buying and selling framework, and various other things to do with investing. The second tool I want to talk about is the RAP, which was started by Tariq. Tariq is a one man army. He's, I think, brilliant in his analysis of the market and in filtering out and finding companies. The RAP is basically a weekly newsletter which comes every Sunday, and it's accompanied with a Sunday meet, which is like a 2 hour meet to discuss the week that happened and also maybe look at special situations or a particular company. And yeah, I again, I'm not affiliated with, and I'm not getting any sort of commission or kickback from these people or these platforms. I just think that they add immense value, and anyone who's serious about investing in India, I think these two are a must-have in your toolkit. The next tool we'll talk about is Stockscans. It's a relatively new product. It's from the house of SOIC, so it's made by the SOIC team. And I actually will just do a very quick overview because Stockscans themselves have a very nice YouTube channel where Mr. Amit does weekly videos, and he's also done a bunch of videos on how to use the tool effectively and how to get the most out of this tool. I personally won't be able to do the justice that he has done, so I would suggest watching those videos to get an idea. But let me just tell you briefly what the website is and what it does. So you can stock scans like screeners. You have some pre-made scans here. You can scan for stocks based on growth, based on technical parameters like long-term, short-term breakouts, volume rocketing, trend twists, bombed out IPOs. Bombed out IPOs is a great mental model that SOIC is named, and basically explaining how companies just when they're listed are listed at very rich valuations, and just after listing, usually the hype subsides, and the companies also aren't used to dealing with the realities of being a public company and the scrutiny and quarterly sort of performances that you have to do. So it takes some time, and that usually causes the stock price after the IPO to plummet. And then, as the company is getting more used to being a public company, as the numbers pick up to match the valuation, they see an uptick. This model has been, you can see it in various companies like Miss Bector's Foods, you can see it in Eternal, you can see it in Paytm, and many, many other companies. Here you have other various trends, Breakout Horizon, Turbo Surge, Alpha Leaders. You have various fundamental screeners also, like Deleverage, Margin Mavericks, Explosive Growth, Buoyant Growth. And you have like holdings in terms of where the smart money, where the institutions are holding, what bulk and block deals are happening. And then you have strength, like relative strength based in screeners here, like index outperformance, industry outperformance, and you have result based screeners. Secondly, you have market scans here, which will just give you like a sectoral like idea of what's happening in these various sectors. Total market cap, the returns on a different time periods, how far it is from their 1 year high, 3 year high, 5 year high. Then you have shareholding scans. Again, you can search by which particular shareholder you're looking for, or so let's see, Ashish Dhawan. Mr. Ashish Dhawan selected. This is Mr. Ashish Dhawan's shareholdings as of today, as of September 25, actually. And here you have result scans, which is again useful during results season, and announcement scans. These are all the corporate announcements that I've had. You can filter them out by type of announcement. All these various types, whether it's bonus issue, dividend, earnings call, presentation, whatever type of announcement. You can filter this out by doing all companies or companies just in a particular watch list or all of your watch lists. You can filter them out by indices, by which various index it's in, or by which industry it's in. So all of that is here in the announcement scan. And yeah, this is basically it. You can make a watch list here. You can make various watch lists here, um, by sector, by type of priority you're giving it, by the type of company it is, whether it's in momentum, whether it's deep value. So yeah. Again, to get a better idea of Stockscans and its features and how to use this most effectively, you should say, I highly recommend going through the Stockscans YouTube channel's videos. Mr. Ahmed does a great job with explaining this. You can also just quickly show you how you can create custom indices here. They have some pre-made custom indexes, but you can also, suppose you want to create a pre-engineered building index. So we do PEB. You search companies here, Interarch, EPAC Prefab, Pena. Oops. Create. And this will show you the custom index you've made. You can do this for various, like you can do a Kavach index. Yeah, you can create any index you want, for sectors, for a bunch of companies, whatever. Also, yeah, here they have company pages. They have in detail. You have company charts, which you can use to see all your technical parameters. It's an economic alternative to TradingView if you find the TradingView subscriptions too expensive. Here you can edit notes and all, but this is pretty self-intuitive, similar to Trendlyne and Tijori and Screener, but different in some ways. Let me just show you a couple of unique features about these. Here you have like calculator. You can do like a bull bear base case calculation yourself by plugging in your assumptions for revenue growth, EBITDA growth, and giving like exit multiples and like your time horizon. So it's very good to get like to just do a quick understanding of like the various what the target price can be and what the target market cap can be under various scenarios after a certain period of time. You also have a reverse DCF calculator here. So in personally, I'm not a big fan of reverse DCF calculations because it factors in too many assumptions. But um, here you can just plug in like what your trailing 12-month PAT would be, market cap would be, what the current PE ratio is, what your exit time horizon is, the PE at time of exit, and what your discount rate, also known as your risk-free rate, would be. And the number you get here would be the implied growth rate here would be the growth rate that is assumed with all of these conditions that you have plugged in. It's what is basically being baked into the stock price. And yeah, very quickly, that was just a brief into stock scans. Now, our next tool today will be Marketsmith India. So, Marketsmith was basically founded by the team of Mr. William O'Neill, who's written this book, How to Make Money in Stocks. William O'Neill, he's pioneered this method called the CanSlim method. CANSLIM, CanSlim. There's a detailed video about this on the SOIC YouTube channel if you're more interested in the CanSlim method. But yeah, I use this website for basically two reasons and two reasons only. I want to know the growth 50 companies have like a good list. And the most important thing about you can go through these companies. Usually, you get like a bunch of good ideas, and you can look at these parameters. They have their own master score, which is a proprietary thing, their relative strength, EPS rating, and they give it an overall grade. Just use this as like an initial point to get ideas. Then you do your own research on the various tools we discussed. One amazing, another place to get good, amazing ideas is this blue dot list. The blue dot list is another proprietary list of this. The blue dot is basically where some institutional interest has been seen. It's like a fingerprint or a footprint of institutional activity, if you will. This is the blue dot list. You can sort these companies out by market cap, by um, volumes traded, by master score, EPS, relative strength, buyer demand. Let's just like rate them by master score. So these are like the highest companies with this is basically the master score is an aggregate of EPS strength, which is earnings per share strength, relative strength rating, and buyer demand. So these are like the companies that have the highest master score, which is an aggregate of these three things. You have all of these companies. This is usually a place to get good ideas. A lot of future multi-baggers and current multi-baggers are mentioned here. Yeah, but again, you can't use this and just blindly buy. These are just ideas that you start researching using the various other tools that we previously discussed. Remember at the start of this video, I spoke about various sources of information, whether it's primary, secondary, tertiary. Under tertiary information, one of the most powerful sources is scuttlebutt information. But now it's not possible for all of us in this day and age to be out on the field looking, verifying data, cross checking, just being out for ideas. One amazing place slash forum slash community is Valuepickr, which is like it's collaborative learning, it's collaborative idea sharing. This is a moderated website where people share stock ideas, share their research, and build on each other's research. It's I it was very powerful. It's become a little uh, I mean, I wouldn't say less useful, but you are seeing some different kinds of people here. You are seeing some AI generated posts here, but they're doing a very good job of moderating it. So by and large, like it's still a very useful tool. You can go on any, you can search like by company. You can, let's just do Interarch. So you can see like the entire history from like the first time anyone posted about it, all of their research, all the articles, anything people have shared about a particular company here. So over time, you can see how the company's progress. Interarch is still a relatively new listing, but if you look at maybe something old like Bajaj Finance, so you can see all the posts from the first post made here in Feb 2013. There's 1100 posts. So if you want to know what a company's trajectory was over a period of years, or what people were saying about a particular company in 2015, 2019, this is like a very good place to go. Um, this is all community sourced information. Um, it's all retail investors like you and me who are passionate about research, sharing their ideas. You can follow some people here to get. So also, once you start visiting, you get like a home page. You get like all your unread, whatever companies you've not looked at. All of this here, all the latest, whichever companies people have been talking about most recently in this latest column here. And yeah, you basically have a profile page. You can follow people. This Mr. Freak is one very good person to follow on this platform. His posts are usually very detailed, full of information. And yeah, there's many other such people you should follow. And this was Valuepickr, which is basically a community collaborative research platform. Yeah, so in conclusion, these were basically all of the tools that I use for research. I hope you found these informative. Obviously, there's a lot of overlapping features in many of these websites, so you don't need all of them. You can use some of them, none of them, one of them. But basically, the point of this video was to encourage you to build your own research process. Everyone online is trying to sell you a course or trying to sell you ideas. The TV channel just wants you hooked there every day. They want you to be viewers. They don't care about what your portfolio return is. To build real wealth, you have to be answerable and accountable to only yourself. You need to develop a research framework. These are the tools you can use to sort of build your process, to build your own engine. Stop buying research tips, start building your own engines. If you found this video useful or informative, I would really appreciate you sharing and subscribing. This is going to be a new channel where I'm going to try to be posting regularly about various topics. If you have any comments, suggestions, or feedback for me, or even suggestions on other topics to be covering, please feel free to leave me a comment. I'm all yours. I'm very open to feedback. See you again soon. Thank you.